Welcome to Doing USA. Today we're going to talk about something that is a problem for most boaters, most people who own a boat, or anybody dealing with lengths of rope. And today we're going to show you how to deal with your rope and your anchor, how to tie it on and how to tie it and wrap it up to where it's not going to become a rat's nest. It doesn't matter if you're on that type of boat and you're pleasure riding and you're going to need a rope of some kind to tie onto, to pull someone, to anchor up. What we're going to do is we're going to make it easy for you to maintain your rope and your anchors. All fishermen have anchors in their boat, and when you have your anchor in your boat, usually this anchor will be here and your rope will end up looking like this. This is one of my anchors, and I just originally wrapped it up on a piece of driftwood. Well, of course, when I hit into a bunch of waves, it's going to roll off, and it's going to end up being a mess. So today we're going to show you an easy way so that doesn't happen to you. We got it laid out over here. I want to show you guys how we're going to do this. Let me get something for my cameraman to sit on real quick. Alright, Seth. So today we are looking at anchors and ropes. When you are dealing with an anchor, you have your rope, and I've got about 100 foot of rope laid out here. There's all kinds of different ropes, nylon, cotton. This is just a simple utility rope that I'm going to use for my anchor for this demonstration. I've been using these ropes. They're pretty cheap. You get them at Walmart. You'll need some kind of a link that you can buy a 3-pack of for $4 or $5 at Harbor Freight. I'm a big fan of Harbor Freight on stuff like this. They usually save you some money. But you're also going to have your anchor. Now, a lot of people will tie their rope straight to their anchor. Do not do that. Now, you can do that if you want, but if you need that rope to tow someone in or to be towed in, you're going to have to untie it from that anchor or cut it. So what I prefer to do is use some kind of a utility hook or a utility link. So we're going to put our link on there and we're going to screw it on. Use that. That way, if you need to, you can unscrew it from your anchor and you can easily use that rope for another application. Okay, now what we're going to see now is we're going to grab the end of the rope, and I've got my rope laid out over here. We're going to grab the rope. We're going to take about a foot of rope. We're going to tie what's called a clove knot, or what I call a double half hitch. And so how you do this is you start with going through your link, and you want to go to the left of your main line. So you've got your link. Let me do it again. You go from the top down, you go to the left of your rope. You pull about your foot or so. You go back through your link, and then you go to the left of the rope that you just pulled through, and it's going to look something like that. That's called a double half hitch or a clove knot. Now that's pretty secure in itself. I've used that knot to pull people out of the mud with a strap. Tied that knot to them, tied that knot to my ball on my truck, and pulled them out. That will not slip. But with certain kinds of ropes, when they get wet, they get slick. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you how to make it to where this knot will not slip. But it's a super strong knot because you have 2 loops around your link. Here we go. You go down, you go to the left of your main line. You pinch it. You go back through, you go to the right of your loop, and you go back through to the right, and you go to the left of that line and you pull it through. You see how we have 2 lines going around this, and that's the top. Then what we do is we make a square knot. We just do an overhanded loop knot, just like that. That will not slip. But for anchors, I do one more step. I take and I make a loop, make a square knot on the end, and I slide that square knot all the way up to that. That is the most secure knot I've found to use for anchors, and it'll hold if you're pulling a truck out of the ditch with a tow strap. You can use that same exact technique and that will work. Now, what we want to show today is everybody has a problem with, and I'm going to move over here a little bit since my rope is laid out that direction. Everybody has a problem with the rope getting all wound up and coiled up and everything. They'll either wrap it around the stick like I had just shown you, which is a quick, easy way, but it sure is not easy when you get ready to use it again. Or they'll take the anchor and they'll just wrap it around their arm like this. And when you wrap it around your arm like this and you take it off, now you've got all kinds of stuff, and when you go to undo it, it gets tangled. It'll get tangled 99% of the time. This is a much easier way. You take your rope from your anchor, and I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use my left hand. I'm going to throw it over the top of my left hand. And then, if you notice, I am going to make my arm at a right angle, or look like an L. I'm going to take the rope that I'm getting ready to wrap. I'm going to go over my wrist, under my elbow, over my wrist, over my hand. I'm making a figure 8, just like that with this rope. Now, why is that important? What we're doing is we are layering these pieces. We're layering one over the other so they cannot get intertwined. Now, I'm going to start over again. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to take my hand. I'm going to just lay the rope over my hand. Anchor's down here. I'm going to lay it over. I'm going to make my arm a right angle, or an L, and I'm going to go from my thumb over my wrist, around my elbow, over and over my hand. Now I'm going to make this figure 8. So now we're going to do it. We're going to go all the way through. All the way through. I'm going to wrap up 100 feet of rope if I can pull it in. Got it laid out in the yard. What we're doing is we're creating a figure 8, and we're creating a rope pattern that will not tangle up when you're in the boat. Remember this and you won't have a problem in the future. So, whoop, here, around, just keep making that figure 8. Keep making that figure 8. Yeah, make it figure 8. And when you get to the point where you have about 6 or 7 feet left, and maybe 8, we're going to do something with this. So there I am. I'm going to stop right there. I've got about, can you see it there? I've got about 8 feet left. Not a whole lot, but that's important. Now, it's coming off my thumb side. So I've got my anchor coming off this side, my rope coming off the opposite side. Okay? All I'm going to do is watch my arm. I'm going to straighten my arm out. That pulls it off my arm, but it leaves it to where it won't tangle up. That makes sense? Then I'm going to take my rope end, the one that's just dangling out here that I have about 8 feet of, and I'm going to not include my rope for my anchor. I'm going to take it, I'm going to wrap it, start wrapping it around my rope, 4 or 5 times. I went from the top down to the bottom. Do you see that? Let me do it again. I'll show you again. So, my rope that I have, the end, it's coming off the top of my hand right here. I'm going to take it, and since I'm on that side, I'm not going to wrap against itself. I'm going to wrap away from it. And I'm going to go from the top, and I'm going to make it tight, and I'm going to start making me some loops. All the way, you start wrapping your rope. Notice how I'm keeping my anchor rope over here over my leg, away from all this. I'm not wrapping it in there. The one that's attached to my anchor. So I've got my links, and I've got my hand. I open my hand. What I've in essence I've done is I've created loops down here and loops up here. A loop up here. See this loop? I've got a loop up here and loops down here. I've got my hand in here. I'm going to grab the rope with my hand. I'm going to take my other hand and I'm just going to pull that rope through. I just made a loop. Let's do that again. Some people will try and they will just make a loop and push it through. That's fine too. But since my hand's already there, I'm just going to grab it with my finger and I'm going to pull me a loop through. I'm not pulling it all the way through. Here's my end. And I'm going to hold that and I'm going to stick it over it. Just like that. And I'm going to tie my rope tight as I can. Pull it as tight as I can. Now that holds it. I've got my loop. I've got my anchor. I've got this. And really and truly, that would finish it. But since I've still got extra rope here, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put me a loop through, put it over, and tie it tight. So this is what the back looks like. See how they both go in, those two loops? This is what it looks like in the front. Now that right there, you can easily throw in the boat and it won't do anything. Now, why is this important? Let's unwind it and I'll show you. So when you get ready to use it, and remember, you always wind it up from the anchor end, not from the rope end. This rope end will tie to your cleat in your boat or around your pole for your seat or something so you don't throw the entire thing out in the lake. But what I do is I push this through and I get it loose and I pull that loop back over. Just reverse it, pull it through. Oh, I got 2 of them, remember? Well, I've got 2 of them, so I'm going to push this one through, take my loop that I just pulled through, pull it back over. Now, as you can see, I don't have those loops anymore. I've got these 5 or 6 loops here, so I got to just quickly unwrap them. Hold on to your loop up here, your top loop. Unwrap them, unwrap them. Now, I've got my rope. This is going to be tied to the boat. There's the boat over there. I'm going to tie it to the boat. Here's my anchor. When I get ready to throw this anchor, there's 2 sides, the anchor side and you'll have the rope side. The rope side and the anchor side. Throw it down with the anchor side up. That makes sense? Now take it. Now I'm going to throw this, but I want you to watch that coil. And watch how easy it uncoils. I'm going to throw it out in the yard, but this right here will work. That will never wind up and tangle up. See how far I threw out my anchor? Now as I'm drifting, because my anchor, I'm going to have it out there a ways, it's drifting out. It's drifting out. It will not tangle up. And that, my friends, is how you do an anchor rope. But remember, when you pull it in, you don't wind it up on your arm from this end. You pull it all the way into the boat or you pull it over and let the rope go into the water, and then you start winding it up from the anchor end. And that's how you do this whole project. Thank you for tuning in to us today at Doing USA. We'll have other helpful tips and projects in the future, and hope you hit the button to subscribe and tell your friends about us. Hope to see you soon on the channel. Thank you.